Nice.
Yeah. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to this beautiful Monday on the beautiful platform Empowerment Network. This evening, Andy and myself want to join you all to see or look at the three simple steps that are going to consist of our I'm not sure what I'm saying. So our KYC will consist of three verification steps, very, very simple things that are needed, are very, affordable and feasible in every country, I think so. But let me not go too far before I make a mistake, because Andy is here to clarify everything to us. So welcome, Andy.
Happy Monday.
Yeah, big happy
It's the
one.
start of the week, and here we go.
All
All right,
right.
so let me explain what KYC is and why it's here, why we have it. KYC is know your customer, know your client. What it means is, from a company perspective, they have to prove who you are in order to be able to pay you. Because if money goes into your account and it can't be accounted for, it becomes potential money laundering, and every country has a different money laundering regulation. So by doing what they call KYC, or know your customer, it means that they can verify who you are and therefore make sure that the payment goes to the right person, but then you don't have any issues with the authority that it's your money laundering. Yeah. So that's the background to it. As I said, every country has a different rule or regulation or requirement for KYC. But what they've done in this instance, in order to be able to pay out to customers or affiliates, I should say, in our case, they have to go through a process to make sure that they know who you are. So, comfort, you mentioned three. You upload a photograph of who
Mm-hmm.
you are, preferably one that's not 20 years ago, a new one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Of course, the recent one with the wrinkles on my face.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's the one. And then what they do, you normally you can use your phone, so you scan your face with the phone, um, and that is facial detection. But you can also do it on the computer using the camera on the computer. But most people have a phone now, and they all have a camera on the phone. So you just, you know, scan your face. That's the facial detection side of things. And then what you do is you can take a photo with your ID, with your photo identification. Now we've gone through this before on
Mm-hmm.
numerous occasions about various different photo IDs. So in the UK, for instance, you've got passport, you've got a driving license that has got a picture on it, etc. In other countries, there are other things that you can use. As long as it's identification, it's got your picture on it and your name. Generally, some have an address on it. It's not an essential, because a passport doesn't have an address on it. So as long as it's got your picture and your name on it and a signature of yours, perfect. So I think they use, certainly in Africa, you can apply, if you apply for a passport, they give you a form, and on that form, it's got a picture of you, which is signed across, and it'll have your name on that. That's good enough. So they're going to make it as simple as they possibly can for us, in order to ensure that everyone can validate and that everyone can make sure they get paid. Now, the merchants, if they see that we've got know your customer, or the KYC for every single affiliate, then it's easy. They just take a copy of what we've given them and go, okay, well, there's your payment. It's as simple as that. Back to
Okay.
you.
Thank you. Yeah, sure. Thanks for explaining that to us, Andy. So, I know you've explained already much, but one of the things that he said was that KYC, which is know your customer or know your clients, you said earlier on, is a prime requirement for the organization. The organization here being OnPassive. So, does it still explain all of what you've said, or is there more you want to add to that, especially when the engineer himself said it?
It's a safety measurement, or a safety measure, sorry, for the company, for OnPassive itself, to say, I know who I'm dealing with and I can pay them money because they are an affiliate of ours, and here is the verification. I have verified that they are who they say they are. Yeah. The problem that you've got these days is, if companies start paying willy-nilly, to all manner of different people, and there is no way of being able to understand or know who you are, then it's the company that can get into trouble. Yeah. So it's a company requirement, and as he's mentioned, a prime requirement for the organisation to make sure that they have the right details. Excuse me.
I was talking to myself. Thank you so much. So guys, if you have any more information about the know your customer, we just go ahead and put it. We brought this up, Andy, because as you remember, last Thursday we had the Go Africa, and one of the concerns that Africans had was about identification and KYC, know your customer, and stuff like that. So when you explain it like this, at least it is very reassuring, and people are like, all right, I think we are fine, everything is going to be okay. But then, like, we know the whole week has been a whole buzz about Africa. Andy, do you want to make one or two comments? Because like Dr. Tarek, he said a lot, and the summary he put before what they said during the All Go Africa event on Thursday, like
Yeah.
yeah, so, yeah, go
Yeah,
ahead.
I mean, one thing that you have to take into consideration here, what they've got to do is that they realise that places like India and Africa have potential issues with creating or providing know your customer details, because not
Mm-hmm.
everybody has got a photo identification. Um, not everybody's got a passport, not everybody's got a driving license with your picture on it, but you can get round that very simply by going to see a lawyer or solicitor and taking a photo of yourself in, getting the lawyer solicitor to write on a piece of paper, I hereby confirm this is ABCD. Here is a picture signed across, and I verify that this picture is a true and correct copy of the person that I'm talking to. And that's your photo ID. That works as well, because you've got it signed, sealed from a legal entity. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. All
So
right.
so so it is a simple process. No one should get worried about it. It's not going to create problems. The other thing that you need to know or need to understand is every single account that you hold, you can use the same KYC for. All right,
Mm-hmm.
because
All right.
this is who you are.
Okay. Sure. Good. Yeah. Of course. Yeah. That really helps. And yeah, I think we just wanted to discuss just this, to make sure that people take it really down, and so we need not worry and stuff like that, because everything is just working as planned, and I think that we are just waiting and getting ready. So any other thing at all, Angie? Let's make it the shortest day today and see how it looks like. So any
Yeah,
other thing on this one?
as I said, whatever happens, do not panic. Where there's a will, there's a way. Okay, it is very simple, and it will be made as simple as possible. The company are well aware that places like India and Africa are the ones that are going to struggle, so they are designing the system specifically to be able to cater for those people living in those areas, and other areas that are in a similar situation, like Papua New Guinea, for instance. If you think about it, the likes of Canada, America, Europe, UK, we all have photo ID.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that it's fairly straightforward. In Africa and India, Papua New Guinea, Yemen, for instance, it's not necessarily something that's readily available, because a lot of people don't go abroad, so they don't have a passport. Now,
Yeah.
hopefully they do, and that makes life even simpler. But don't panic if you don't or you haven't. There is a will, there is a way, and it will be made
Exactly.
as simple as possible.
Yeah, sure, sure. So I think we're just good, and if we're ready for this business, then we are ready, because there's always something. I don't think there's any country who just let a citizen be without any form of identification. Something can always be done, and so we are good to go. And
Absolutely.
so, did you want to mention any other thing? There's oh, I just lost this, but I think we leave it at. No.
We have.
Yeah, about the this thing, they still promised about the you know the data this thing back like in the countries that are struggling, like back to Africa again, like Papua New Guinea and other developing countries that are still struggling. So they promised, Ash promised that he was still going to make it better. And one of the things that Ash said, which I thought that we should comment on, because people need to know and really get serious, especially people who are not yet taking this business seriously. Andy, Ash said in his ecosystem, there is anything and everything to raise these countries to that top level where everybody would admire. And all he wants for every household to afford the internet. So, what do you think this means? It sounds so promising to me, but what do you think this means to the developing countries?
Well, there's two ways to look at this. We know in Africa, for instance, data is key. And everybody uses a phone, so they go through an awful lot of data. So if they come onto a webinar, they might use 3 gig just to stay on the webinar. Now the OCONNECTors being converted or being changed in order to reduce that dramatically, and we've seen that on the Papua New Guinea webinars that we've had recently, where people have used far less to still be on the call, but have no connection issues. So it again, the company are well aware that 1 billion people are within Africa. Yeah, and the largest part of the customer base, if you like, is India. So these particular places are likely to have more issues with things like internet, yeah, than you would in America or Canada or the UK or Europe again. So what they're doing is they're finding ways, or I'm sure they will have a way very shortly, where we will be able to get connection. So as long as your phone's working, you'll get connected. Yeah, because everybody has a hotspot, if you like, on their phone these days, so that makes life easier. But it's the data usage will dramatically reduce, you know, in comparison to the likes of Zoom that we've used in previous years. So all good from that perspective.
Yeah, sure. I think we've covered enough for this evening. We're planning to be really brief, and we'll keep it brief for tonight. So, guys, thank you for joining us.